Back at the end of March of this year, San Antonians found themselves transfixed, awed, and a little bit mystified after spotting a strange bright light in the sky that just didn't make any rational sense. Folks reported seeing the object from Seguin in the Alamo City to New Braunfels and shared video of what appeared to be a bright light moving slowly before suddenly picking up speed and creating a ring in the sky. Now, when you're watching the video, a couple seconds later, it fades from view. Was it an asteroid, a comet, or something else? Some folks looking for a rational explanation immediately assumed it must be from SpaceX launching its Falcon 9 satellite. And hey, it's far from the first time that mysterious sights have been spotted over the state. There's a video from last June out of North Texas that shows a fuzzy light in the sky. It was moving from the west to the east and appeared to be in the clouds, although there were no clouds around. And as it got closer, it blew a cloud of smoke and then it turned into a ring. Now, some folks think that it's likely that the fuzzy nature of the light was actually all 22 of the Starlink satellites bunched together, but it hasn't been proven one way or the other. Previous videos have shown bright or otherwise weird objects in the skies, and sometimes during the day. In some cases, the prevailing theory is that they were Mylar balloons. In other cases, SpaceX. But since nobody has a definitive answer, I'm going with still unexplained. Now, if I'm talking about incidents we don't have the video of, there's one from Athens, Texas that will always live on, rent-free in my brain. So a retired military fighter and commercial pilot, who was also a former astronaut, he once submitted this account of what happened one night to an online message board. I think it was July 5th in 2013 around 10:15 p.m. And this message board, by the way, was the National UFO Reporting Center. Just a silly little thing. So he reported that he and his family were sitting outside, and when he looked up into the sky, he observed a fairly large orange glowing orb moving rapidly overhead at around 90 degrees of elevation. A minute or two later, his whole family spotted a group of 3 similar objects along the same flight path as the first one. The objects allegedly gave off no sound and seemed to glow from atmospheric heating. He and his family attempted to record the object using their iPhones, but the grainy dark video was of no evidential use. A direct quote from him reads, "They moved much faster than orbital satellites," so like the International Space Station, or airplanes, but much slower than meteors and did not change brightness as a meteor would upon entering the atmosphere. So if a former pilot and astronaut has no explanation for what he witnessed, what the heck was it? Also, what makes Texas a UFO hotspot? Let me know what you think in the comments. An enormous circular halo of eerie red light, which looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, recently flashed in the night sky above Italy. The bizarre disk appeared and disappeared within milliseconds, meaning most folks likely missed the strange spectacle. But one person, a nature photographer by the name of Walter Binotto, managed to capture a little image of the luminous halo in the sky above the town of Posagno in northern Italy on March 27th of this year. However, the red ring was not actually located above the town. Instead, the massive circle, which was around 224 miles in diameter, blinked above central Italy and part of the Adriatic Sea. It was only a forced perspective that made the ring look as if it were hanging above the town. So what was it? Well, there's a couple of theories. Obviously, UFOs are on the table, since we don't know for sure, and while around here, the powers that be assume UFO first and science later. But yes, we've got to say what people are thinking it could be. According to spaceweather.com, it could be an emission of light and very low frequency perturbations due to electromagnetic pulse sources, or ELV for short. Now, ELVs are a rare type of stratospheric and mesospheric perturbations resulting from intense thunderstorm electrification, known as SPRITE. The red rings are created when electromagnetic pulses, or EMPs, given off by lightning hit Earth's ionosphere, the ionized part of the upper atmosphere that stretches between 50 to 400 miles above the ground. Now, due to their short-lived nature, ELVs are normally visible only to satellites orbiting Earth and were discovered just in 1990 thanks to cameras on board NASA's space shuttles. Binotto's new image is likely the best picture of one ever from the ground, according to spaceweather.com. The photographer believes that the ELV was produced by an EMP generated from a large thunderstorm near Ancona, a city around 174 miles southeast of Posagno. Now, normally lightning bolts do not emit EMPs because they do not carry enough current, but apparently during this storm, an unusually powerful bolt, at least 10 times more powerful than regular lightning bolts, likely generated the electrical shockwave, which then hit the ionosphere, according to, once again, spaceweather.com. When electrons from within the EMP hit the ionosphere, the charged particles excite nitrogen atoms, which then give off the reddish glow. Still a UFO, because even though it matches up somewhat to elves, it doesn't quite do so perfectly, fitting in with a popular theory that UFOs can indeed camouflage into Earth byproducts. Look, this one was just having an off day. Something odd happened back in 1950 when astronomers noticed that 9 star-like point sources of light had simultaneously appeared in a photographic plate acquired at the Palomar Observatory in Southern California as part of the famous Palomar Sky Survey. That might or might not sound unusual, but hey, none of those point sources were seen in images taken just before of the same patch of sky, and likewise, they didn't appear in images taken after either. That remains true through today, even with images from current surveys that are much more sensitive to faint objects. So what were these 9 weird transients? Well, that's the question addressed by Beatrice Villarroel at the Nordic Institute for Theoretical Physics in Stockholm, Sweden, and colleagues in a new paper. Beatrice conducts a citizen science project called VASCO, which is short for the Vanishing and Appearing Sources During a Century of Observations. The project searches for exotic or rare transients, and it has probed a time baseline of about 70 years, using data from the United States Naval Observatory Catalog. So far, citizen scientists and professional astronomers working via VASCO have found about 100 transient objects, mostly on Palomar Sky Survey red plates. Beatrice and her team point out that astronomers have seen stars, and even an exoplanet that seemed to vanish before this. Like, for example, there are variable stars, whose brightness waxes and wanes. There are supernova, asteroids, and variable active galactic nuclei. All of these can change their brightness on timescales ranging from minutes to years. But the 9 point sources of light found in a red-sensitive sky survey plate back in 1950, yeah, those are different. All 9 sources were absent in all of the images taken before or after. Astronomers didn't find the objects in a blue-sensitive photographic plate from 30 minutes earlier. They didn't see them on a red-sensitive plate taken 6 days later. Whatever they were, the weird transients were unusual in being so numerous and so fleeting in nature. Now you see them, now you never see them again, which is very odd. Now the red plate from the survey reached down to a magnitude of about +20, vastly fainter than the human eye can see. The 9 objects haven't shown up in more modern photographic surveys either, which are more sensitive to faint objects. Now, if you've been thinking the transient might be akin to a lens flare on a modern photograph, you're not alone. Way back in 1950, the glass cover used during scanning could produce false stars in the image. But according to new paper, the objects in the photographic plate don't have the shape expected from such ghost images. As of now, it seems that out of the possibilities mentioned, satellites could be the closest match. But this happened a full 7 years before the launch of the first satellite. So what do we think? UFO. Next up, a tale out of Alaska, which tends to be home to a lot of weird stuff. In February of last year, an unidentified object was brought down about 10 miles off of the frozen coast of Alaska, and this was announced by US officials, and details about it are still pretty quiet. US military pilots sent up to examine the object gave conflicting accounts of what they saw, which is part of the reason why the Pentagon was cautious in describing what the object actually is, according to a source briefed on the intelligence. Now, this incident marked the second time that the US jets had taken down an object in less than a week, following the bringing down of a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina the week before. The North American Aerospace Defense Command said it was monitoring high-altitude airborne objects over northern Canada, and military aircraft were operating in the area from Alaska and Canada. Once again, this is according to a news release from the agency. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced shortly after that he ordered the downing of the object, but it's not clear what it is, or whether it has any relation to the spy balloon. Now, Trudeau said he spoke with President Joe Biden and that Canadian forces would lead the object recovery operation, but they were tight-lipped after the fact. F-35 fighter jets were set up to investigate after the object was first detected, and brought back limited, and by that I mean none, in terms of info about the object. Some pilots said the object interfered with the sensors on their planes, which checks for UFO tech. Other pilots also claimed to have seen no identifiable propulsion on the object, and could not explain how it was staying in the air, despite cruising at an altitude of 40,000 feet. Searches for the unidentified objects were concluded with no signs of debris from either, which, and this is according to multiple government statements, which means either they didn't find anything, or for sure they found alien tech and they're keeping their mouths shut. Now, Canada tends to be more coy about alien sightings compared to the US, but members of the Mutual UFO Network have made claims about alien bases found underwater off of the coast of Alaska, and this is based on eyewitness reports from like decades ago. Just saying. On a nice sunny spring day in 1876, a strange thing happened at Alan Crouch's home in Olympia Springs, Kentucky. His wife was outside making soap when chunks of raw meat, some of them more than 3 inches in diameter, started falling out of the sky all around her. And as newspapers reported, 2 men, whose identities are unknown, tasted the meat and thought that it was either venison or mutton. This grisly mystery went unsolved for quite a long time, since researchers debated the cause of the meat shower. Now, there was one logical conclusion from a Dr. L.D. Kostenbein. He thought it was vulture upchuck, because vultures are known to, do that as a way to defend themselves or to make their bodies lighter so they can fly easily. But at the end of the day, nobody was able to prove that for sure. Nobody found a vulture. So, once again, UFO. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly. See y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.
Number 5. Las Vegas. I think anybody watching these videos are pretty curious about UFOs, and we'd all want to see a UFO up close and personal, yeah? Well, what if you had one crash in your backyard? For this Las Vegas family, they might have had a close encounter right on their doorstep. No contact UFO, curbside delivery. A 911 call about non-human beings caught the attention of local police when on April 30th around midnight, a police officer's body cam recorded something streaking across the sky. This event was corroborated across California, Nevada, and Utah, according to the American Meteor Society, who probably answers the phone a lot about possible UFOs. And whatever it was that landed in this family's backyard, drone video showed a circular imprint in the dirt. When the family called, they claimed that there was an 8-foot person outside the craft and another inside it, with big eyes and looking at them. The caller described them as being 8 to 10 feet tall, looking like aliens with big eyes and a big mouth. Described them as being shiny and 100% not human. Now, this wasn't just one random crazy caller, as the whole family living there said they saw the same thing. The caller said that they saw a shooting star and now there's something in the backyard. The officer responding said he saw something fall out of the sky too, which is why he was so curious about it. Representatives from Nellis Air Force Base said they weren't involved with this incident at all and suggested contacting the police. Interestingly though, a spokesperson for the Pentagon didn't comment at all in regards to this event. Now, isn't that interesting? And if you're looking for way more footage about UFOs, well, hey, you already know Top 5 Scary is the place to be and then some. We got more UFOs than you could ever watch in a lifetime. So click subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell so you don't miss any of our scary videos from us, but do that at the end of this video, okay? Because I got 4 more pieces of UFO footage and evidence coming up for you right now. Number 4, Indonesia. Now here is an absolutely wild story for you. A Marine veteran is breaking a 14-year silence, claiming now that he and his squad mates saw a UFO while they were deployed in Indonesia in 2009 and were threatened into silence over it. Michael Herrera was a 20-year-old rifleman sent on a Navy humanitarian mission during the 2009 Sumatra earthquake and the tsunami that would devastate the region. He claims that his unit was guarding a supply drop outside the city of Padang, and his 6-man unit stumbled on something they were never meant to see: an octagonal, unknown aerial craft that seemed to be being used by some sort of clandestine government force. The Marine has an unmarked 4-year service record and showed text with a fellow witness who refused to speak out about this incident, worrying that discussing this incident would jeopardize his life. Herrera claimed that while guarding supplies from insurgents, they had weapons drawn on them by unmarked forces who had American accents, who told them off and demanded to know who they were. These unknown soldiers took the weapons from the Marines and took their IDs and began loading ammunition, large weapon cases, and other things from modified Ford F-350s onto a platform beneath a large octagonal craft, which would rise off the ground and shoot away at an incredible speed of up to 4,000 miles per hour. Now, for 14 years, Herrera did not say a word on this incident. It wasn't until the recent wave of UFO sightings and discussions that he felt like it was finally time to come forward about this event. Now, it doesn't really sound like a Marine to lie about something like this, especially not one with an unmarked 4-year service record like that. So what happened? Who were those guys? Officially sanctioned by the US government? Some sort of other organization entirely? The Men in Black? Is it fun to wildly speculate? It is. Number 3, David Grush. David Grush is a former intelligence officer, a US Air Force veteran who has got ties to UAP and UFO development and research, and you're probably going to be hearing this name a lot if you're interested in UFOs and all that stuff, because he's been blowing the whistle on possible UFO activity inside the US, boldly boldly claiming that not only does the American government have proof of extraterrestrial life, but that the American government is storing alien crafts for their own purpose, which kind of makes sense of that last story if you think about it. They might be connected. Now, last week, Grush made headlines when he claimed that the US government has concealed evidence of a non-human craft from Congress. And Grush is trying to make people aware of this story. He claims that it's got an intact or partially intact craft, as well as he's got evidence of deceased agents and officers through crash site retrieval, explaining when you recover something that's landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots, and believe it or not, it's true. Quote, does that mean that they have evidence of alien bodies? Deceased aliens? Now, Grush claims that personally, he never saw any non-human evidence up close and personal, but he knows enough people within the program to confide that it's real, saying he knows several intelligence officers involved in the crash site retrieval program, as well adding that there's a decades-long competition with adversaries to retrieve the materials from crash sites to reverse engineer the crafts for defense advantages. Isn't that so like humans? We got alien technology and the only thing we can do with it is build more warships. Can't do anything fun with it. Anyway, it's an incredible claim, and if this is true, it would be the story of the century, maybe the biggest story in human history. This moment of truth that everyone is looking for and fighting for. This final proof that aliens are totally out there among us and we're working on their crafts. So is it true? Is the truth finally coming out? All we can do is sit on our thumbs and wait and see. Number 2, strange orb. I think this has been kind of a heavy video so far. You know, we've got these big claims of whistleblowers, leaks to the press, shadowy organizations, black ops mercenaries, people being silenced, retrieved crashes. We need at least one footage of something strange, a little black dot going across the sky to just lighten up the mood a little bit, you know? Plus, I really think footage of weird orbs is kind of the bread, butter, the roots of this channel, and I don't want to stray too far from my roots. This following footage that we're about to show you was captured sometime in June 2021 and remained dormant for years, until being posted on the UFO subreddit, which is the most trusted source of UFO information in the human world, I think. When full disclosure happens, it's gonna happen on Reddit before anywhere else. Now, this clip shows a small black spherical orb darting around the sky at that impossible to ascertain distance where you can't make out any features or anything. The object moves erratically. It doesn't seem like it's moving with the wind or being blown, but rather jerked around, like stopping completely and then going in the opposite direction, giving the impression that it's something that's being controlled. Now, whether that means it's being controlled remotely or it's being piloted by something very, very small, I'm not sure, but it's something that's being driven. That much I think. Drones are obviously the most likely possibility, although I would say the object in this clip seems like it's moving just a little bit too fast to be a drone from this planet. We see a lot of these mysterious spheroid objects in UFO clips, and I have to wonder if they're all coming from the same source. Somebody check the manufacturer's logo on it. Now, it bears mentioning with any clip of a weird thing in the sky, very likely could just be a balloon, could also be some sort of camera glitch or artifact, and without any of the context or important key details in this video, like where it came from, who filmed it, and why, it can be hard to tell for certain just what this is. Not much to go on but speculating. So I'll leave it up to you in the comments section. You let me know if you think this is just circumstantial and distracting us from the truth, or if this is another piece of the puzzle. And number 1, recovered crafts. Of course, David Grush isn't the only person claiming the US government has impressive UFO technology hidden away. An unnamed, anonymous whistleblower, probably for the best, claims that a UFO recovered by the US military is so advanced that its technology doesn't even make sense to humans at all, claiming that this craft distorts space-time, claiming that on the inside, it's the size of a football stadium. This story was relayed from the whistleblower to lawyer Daniel Sheehan, who's a lawyer who specializes in aiding UFO whistleblowers. There really is a guy for everything, isn't there? The story goes that the US recovered a craft that was 30 feet wide and embedded in the earth. The crash site recovery crew sent an agent inside the downed craft and discovered, like the TARDIS, it's much bigger on the inside, saying that he was disoriented and nauseous after stepping inside and discovering that the innards of the craft were impossibly large, the size of a football stadium, while the outside was only about 30 feet wide. Now, apparently size isn't the only thing affected by the wondrous craft, with the whistleblower claiming that the agent said he was inside the UFO for a few minutes, while the rest of the unit outside claimed that he was inside for hours. hours. Now, a story this bold would require a great weight of evidence to go with it. And that's the kicker, because unfortunately we don't have much of anything at all outside of an anonymous unnamed source possibly relating this to a lawyer. There's no dates, no location given, and definitely no photos or footage. So can we rack this up? Is this a believable source, or is this someone trying to jump on the coattails of other whistleblowers and try to drum up a bit of attention? Are all of these stories coming out right now proof that full disclosure is coming up on us, or is this just a carrot on a stick to keep us chasing forever and ever? I'm not sure, but I know the truth is out there, my ghouls and goblins.
When the Navy sees something they can't identify, that's cause for concern. Today we've got a multitude of cases to sink our minds into, so let's get into it. On a clear sunny day in April of 2014, two FA-18s took off for an air combat training mission off of the coast of Virginia. The jets, part of Ryan Graves' Navy Fighter Squadron, climbed to an altitude of 12,000 about feet and steered towards Warning Area W72, which was an exclusive block of airspace 10 miles east of Virginia Beach. All traffic into the training area goes through a single GPS point at a set altitude, almost like a doorway into a massive room where military jets can operate without running into other aircraft. Well, just at the moment the two jets crossed the threshold, one of the pilots saw a dark gray cube inside of a clear sphere, motionless against the wind, fixed directly at the entry point. Now these jets, only about 100 feet apart, zipped past the object on either side. The pilots had come so dangerously close to something they couldn't identify that they terminated the training mission immediately and returned to base. We've got a quote, "I almost hit one of those damn things." This was from the fight leader, still shaken by the incident, and he exclaimed this shortly after in the pilot's ready room. Everyone knew exactly what he meant. Those damn things have been plaguing the team for the last 8 months. Initially the objects were showing up on the newly upgraded radars, and folks assumed they were ghosts in the machine or software glitches. But then they began to correlate their radar tracks with multiple surveillance systems, including infrared sensors that detected heat signatures. Then came the hair-raising near misses that required them to take evasive actions. Now these were no balloons. The unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, accelerated at speeds up to Mach 1. The speed of sound. They could hold their position, appearing motionless, despite Category 4 hurricane force winds of 120 knots. They did not have any visible means of lift, control surfaces, or propulsion, so in other words, nothing that resembled normal aircrafts with wings, flaps, or engines, and they outlasted the team's fighter jets, operating continuously throughout the day. Ryan was astounded, because as a formerly trained engineer, the technology demonstrated defied his understanding. So after that near miss, the team had no choice but to submit a safety report, hoping that something could be done before it was too late. But there was no official acknowledgement of what was experienced and no further mechanism to report the sightings, even as other aircrew flying along the East Coast quietly began sharing similar experiences. The only option was to cancel or move the training, as the UAP continued to maneuver in the vicinity unchecked. And to this day, no one knows what those things were in the sky. So when Ryan retired from the Navy in 2019, he was the first active duty pilot to come forward and publicly testify to Congress, being like, "Yo, what's this?" Still don't know. Back in 2018, a video that showed US Navy pilots encountering an unidentified flying object in 2015 got a lot of calls for more research into what those mysterious objects could be. In the video that was released, you can hear one pilot saying, "What the F is that thing? Well, what is that, man? Look at that flying." Now, this footage was released by To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences, which is a private scientific research and media group, which is led by Dr. Hal Puthoff, a NASA and US Department of Defense advisor, and James Semivin, a former US CIA service member. Now, the clip is said to be an authentic Department of Defense video that captures the high-speed flight of an unidentified aircraft at low altitude, and reveals a previously undisclosed Navy encounter that occurred off of the East Coast in 2015, according to a statement from the TTSA. Just looking at the video, I have no clue what this could be. Back in January of, I think earlier this year, a video of a UAP from like 2019 resembling a jellyfish had skywatchers, pilots, and experts wondering what the bleep it was. So the buzz was so big that the Pentagon responded, and their response, or lack thereof, only fueled further speculation. Hey, we love a good mystery, and when the government is keeping tight-lipped, spidey senses start to say, sky unknowns. So the video in question was released by investigative journalist Jeremy Corbell. Who was he? Well, he is a prominent figure in the UFO community, known for his work and investigations into UAPs, UFOs, you get the idea. So he said that military pilots captured the footage over a US joint operations base in Iraq around 2018, and according to him, the object was officially designated a UAP by the Pentagon, and the footage was taken with thermographic, forward-looking infrared radar. The official Department of Defense spokesperson Sue Gao stated, "We do not comment silent on the authenticity of alleged DoD material that may have been leaked. But despite that, she emphasized the DoD's commitment to openness and accountability while balancing the necessity to protect sensitive information, leaving a lot of folks to wonder about the apparent contradiction. Corbell said the reason why they're not at the point able to deny it is because absolutely they're gonna have to confirm it. He emphasized his and journalist George Knapp's 3.5-year effort to develop sources and verify the leaked material, saying, "We have done our due diligence, and our DoD will be put in the corner. They have to be honest with the American public on this video." Now, Michael Chinkowski, a Marine officer who spoke with News Nation, was an intelligence, surveillance, recon, tactical controller at the base at the time. Now, he said he was shown the full video and that soldiers didn't know what to make of it. He says the video was taken from an aerostat, which is an intelligence surveillance balloon that looks like a blimp and was over the base and has cameras on it to keep a lookout for threats. So apparently additional footage of the jellyfish UAP exists, and there's a lot more videos related to the incident. He said in a quote, "There are more videos, you're not seeing it." Like what he saw made him able to tell inside of the right facility exactly where Senate and the Intelligence Committee can find the rest of the videos. Now apparently the extended video is approximately 30 minutes long and allegedly shows the UFO's trans-medium capability, its abrupt descent into the water for 17 minutes, and its rapid departure. Hopefully that video makes it to the internet someday. Former United States Navy Admiral Tim Gallaudet says he believes UFO whistleblowers like David Grush are telling the truth about government non-human retrieval missions. So he said, "This technology, we're still trying to learn about it, it could give us an advantage in any military conflict." Now that's a good reason not to disclose the nature of the technology, and he said that he thinks for the foreseeable future we don't want to release and disclose all of the technology we've recovered. However, he thinks it's about time that they do disclose that they are in contact with non-human intelligence, because that's what the public needs to know. So he mentioned regarding UFOs in general, "We're being visited by non-human intelligence with technology we really don't understand, and with intentions we don't understand either." For context, this 56-year-old oceanographer has served as the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere within the U.S. Department of Commerce, as well as Acting Undersecretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere, and, another title, Acting Administrator of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA for short. He also claims to have seen footage of UFOs while he was on active duty in the Navy. And finally for today, the most famous Navy case of all, the Tic Tac. On November 14th of 2004, Lieutenant Alex Dietrich was piloting her FA-18 Super Hornet when she observed this weird little object hovering over water. It leapt into motion, skimming about 500 to 1,000 feet over the waves at about 500 knots, super fast. The fighter jet's onboard radar couldn't detect the object, but Alex's weapons systems operator, who was just hanging out there, also witnessed this crazy little thing. Alex has quoted her recollection as, "We were trying to call out what we were seeing to each other, make sure everybody else is seeing it. It's moving so radically and so fast that our voices, our minds, and that our radio calls just couldn't keep up with it." So Alex, by the way, is actually super duper skilled at recon. So she's specifically trained to be able to identify any kind of aircraft by shape, paint scheme, insignia, and more, and she had no idea what it was. On one of the other Super Hornets that launched that day, behind Alex was Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood, who was able to capture the object on an infrared camera. So by little, I mean it was only about 40 feet long, round and smooth, and quickly got the nickname Tic Tac because of its size. So yes, there is footage that the US government has confirmed as authentic and unexplained, and it's quite a doozy. So around that same time, starting on November 10th to be exact, Gary Voorhees, a petty officer on the USS Princeton guided missile cruiser, also had some apparitions on his radar screens in the same area. He triple checked his equipment before he made his report, and since he was the main technician responsible for that, and he had 6 years of Navy training, he was like, "I don't know what I'm seeing, and it's impossible." In just seconds, an object had dropped to the waterline from 60,000 feet, hovered, and then zipped away at high velocity, making right angle turns that just confounded him and weren't possible. And these objects returned for the next week, and he was like, "I saw it during the night, during the day. Could I tell you what it was? Absolutely not."
Number 5. Falling from the sky. Coming up first today is going to be this wild footage that was posted to TikTok quite recently. It might have flown under the radar, but now it's blowing up, and if you're into the supernatural and the unexplained, maybe you've seen it on your front page already in between videos of cats falling over. It was posted by user PMESASSO, and it showcases a truly bizarre encounter, and possibly the close encounter of the first kind. In this video, we can see something falling from the sky. Now, it's difficult to make out entirely what it is, but it looks more technological than not. It's not a bird. Looks a bit like it's a falling craft or a drone of some kind that's been shot down. Do you remember that week or two in February where every day a mysterious unknown craft would get shot down, and then the government would refuse to explain or comment on what would happen? Remember how that happened and now we've all just moved on from it? I'm still thinking about it. Anyway, after that craft seemingly descends to the ground below, we see in the sky that a bunch of military fighter jets seem to be in hot pursuit of it, which definitely makes me pretty suspicious if there's fighter jets not even a minute behind a strange, unidentified craft. Now there are some doubters in the comments who aren't as convinced. Some say the crafts are therefore an air show and the thing falling from the sky part of it as well. Of course, did they consider maybe the aliens were the one putting on an air show and the government didn't want to be upstaged and that's why they sent a craft over? If I know anything about the US military, it's that they don't like being second best at anything. And if you want to watch a place that's the #1 best at something, it's top 5 scary, and it's scary videos we've got. If you can think it up, we've got a video or two on it. I mean it. Megalodons, ghosts, ghouls, goblins, aliens, conspiracy theories, horror movies, basically anything freaky under the sun or above it, we got 2 or 3 videos on. So hit subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell so you don't miss a single thing, but if you'd be so kind, do that at the end of this video, because I got 4 more mysterious orbs and UFOs coming up for you right now. Number 4, Arizona's mysterious orb. Coming up next today on our list of strange sightings in the sky is this mysterious footage of an orb-like sphere bouncing around through the clouds. This clip was uploaded and posted to the UFO subreddit a few days ago, where it blew up almost immediately. Posted by user Amvion, and shout out UFO subreddit, making my job so much easier every day. The clip is a snippet from a local news station in Arizona reporting on a series of wildfires in San Bernardino, California. When the camera catches something a little hotter, that was a pun, if you see what I did there, you can see a strange little orb floating around high above the forests. Now, it's very difficult to tell from here, but it looks to be moving at an incredibly fast speed, with seemingly no method of propulsion or exhaust trails to be found. It can even be going through the smoke at one point during the video, which would be catastrophic for most aerial craft, as this area would be far, far too hot to approach via helicopter. Now, a user in the comments added a little bit of additional insight too. It looks very far out from where anyone could be piloting a drone. Looks to be a few miles out in the brush. Any civilian would be heavily discouraged, if not outright prohibited, from flying a drone near a wildfire area, with a possible crash with a helicopter being disastrous. So it has to be something that wasn't supposed to be in that airspace, or maybe doesn't even know where it is. So it's hard to tell what's going on with this one. I'm not sure what any skeptical answers or rational answers could be beyond the usual catch-all of strange drone or weather balloon. The object doesn't move too erratically or non-humanly, so it doesn't seem like it itself is making the decisions. I'm really not sure what this could be, my friends, which means you know what time it is. You let me know down below what you think it might be. Or just tell me something nice about your day, you know, I don't know, something that made you smile today. Number 3, something from the sky. Coming up next today at our number 3 spot is going to be this short, sweet, mysterious clip posted to us on the most reputable source of information on the internet, TikTok, by a user going by the name of Brian Daniel. Gosh, people have the weirdest names on the internet these days. Brian Daniel, what does that even mean? In this short clip, Daniel claims that near his home, something fell from the sky onto the ground below, glowing a searing bright blue, ethereally brighter than anything he'd seen before. Commenters said they'd seen the same thing in Florida, where the uploader lived. News reported that it was a meteor, but Daniel claims that it goes much deeper than that. He claims that the next day he tracked the crash site of the meteor and discovered what seemed to be a government operation cleaning the possible crash site, filming some feds standing around with their thumbs in their pockets on the beach. From there, Daniel claims that a mysterious man in a suit was on his front lawn filming his house, and him when he got home, and he didn't look like he was from the housing authority. Eerie. For what purpose? We don't know. Now, as fantastical as this video is, I'm always more than a little weary to believe something from TikTok, just because the app is very, very easy for anyone to edit content with, and this video is literally 3 disconnected shots clipped together. I know I'm a man on the internet telling you to believe things, but I think you should always be incredibly rational and skeptical and take everything with a grain of salt, and there's nothing to suggest that these 3 things were even taken by the same camera. Now, the meteor in Florida is real. That happened on April 13th, 2021, so jot that down, that did happen. But the thing that's really holding me back about this clip, and the reason I find it more skeptical than I believe it, is because the mysterious agent at the end of the video is wearing a suit that doesn't quite fit him. I thought they were the men in black, not the men in the dress for less at Ross's summer collection. Bet you didn't know I could go there. Number 2, what's on the moon? And coming in next today is going to be this incredibly weird clip posted to TikTok recently by a user going by the name of Larry Liu. Now, this is one of the stranger supernatural UFO clips I've seen in a few minutes. You'll see why in a few seconds. You'll definitely want to see this. In this strange clip, we can see something filming something bizarre that seems to be orbiting the moon. We can see some unknown objects flying around our moon, getting a little too close for comfort. That's our moon. Is that our own technology? Are these man-made satellites, or are these scouts, drones, or something else not of this world? Now, before we really put our tinfoil hats on and get wild with the speculating, we need to talk about the zoom in and the quality on this camera. I am inclined to believe that this guy works for NASA because he seems to have the James Webb telescope in his back pocket. I have watched innumerable, countless UFO clips for work, and I have literally never seen a clip this high quality. I was salivating watching this. I can't even talk about the alien stuff because I'm too busy focusing on the pixels in this thing. You can make out the footprints on the surface of the moon. You can see Neil Armstrong's size 13 on the dust. You're telling me this guy shot this on his phone? Why is this man not filming every single supernatural occurrence on this planet? If we set this guy up in the woods, we would have Bigfoot, Mothman, the Loch Ness, all that proven, disproven within an afternoon. I need to take 5. I need a drink. Okay, I'm good. Back to the original video. Most people in the comments were like me, solely focusing on the incredible lens on this user's iPhone. A few people suggested that that could be the American flag from the surface of the moon. I find that a bit unlikely, but I don't know enough about moons to disprove that. So what could it be? Let me know down below in the comments, or hey, feel free to just continue to comment on how impressive the camera zoom is. What is he working with there? What am I working with? I don't know. Number 1, crop circles. I didn't need to say it like that. Coming up last on our list of UFO sightings we just can't wrap our noggins around is this footage that was taken in 1989. Now, I know the title says 2023, but if you really squint, 1989, 2023, I don't know, they look exactly the same to me. It might be a vintage, but that just means the high strangeness has been aged to perfection. Don't dismiss it till you get your eyes on it. It looks like an excerpt of a documentary about aliens and UFOs of some kind, sort of like what you're watching now, but bet the guy hosting this isn't even half as charming. In the video, clear as day, we can see 2 strange, small, metallic spheres racing around a farmstead, glowing bright against the shroud of the night sky. They seem diligently at work, creating an intricate pattern below in the fields. Some sort of circle in the crop, an almost crop circle, if you will. I feel like crop circles kind of fell out of vogue in alien culture, which is a shame. I think they're very cool and fun. They always make me think of the underrated M. Night picture, Signs. I know some people hate that movie, but I thought otherwise. Anyway, I guess our parents were much more frightened by flattened designs and bits of the grain and cereal, and we just don't feel the same way. But I, for one, want to bring it back. I want to bring crop circle culture back. Now, this clip is pretty remarkable. Some say it almost looks too good, and there's been a raging debate in the UFO and alien community as to whether or not this was a real clip or a very well engineered hoax for darn near 30 years now. Detractors argue that it's CGI, while believers state that the CGI would be too advanced for the time. I mean, most CGI around this era look like Reboot, you know? Not to besmirch Reboot, but come on. Well, we probably won't find the answer today to whether or not it's a hoax or not, because only you can truly decide that, okay? The truth is out there for you. Just like only you can decide if M. Night Shyamalan is a misunderstood auteur or a total hack. We're just not going to talk about the Avatar movie. Number 5, Las Vegas body cam. My dear ghouls, things are heating up in the sky lately, and the whole world is coming down bad with alien fever. If you're a UFO enthusiast, the odds are very good you've heard a thing or two about the recent sighting in Las Vegas. That's kind of building up to be a modern day Roswell with all the conspiracy and cover-up allegations. NASA's planetary defense officer, which, side note, I did not know was a real job, told Motherboard, a branch of Vice News, that a green fireball observed last month was not a UFO, but rather a small meteor less than a meter in size that landed smack dab in somebody's backyard. Now, the Las Vegas police officers who responded responded to the call say they didn't find any aliens in a manhunt, or alien hunt I suppose is probably more accurate, but they do hope to find them in the future, citing the city's close proximity to Area 51 as a source of speculation. Now the problem is that footage went wildly viral over the internet when a police officer's body cam was uploaded. We've got a little bit of this footage for you here today. It's kind of hard to make anything out of it, like most blurry alien footage, but it's fun to let our speculations run wild, and this TikToker seems adamant that you can see an alien over one of the cop's shoulders. Personally, I think it does look a bit just like a light or like a headlight or something, but you let me know what you feel like you see. The case has been captivating, with the 911 callers claiming that they saw tall, non-human entities in their backyard with big glowing eyes looking at them. So what do you think, my fair and trusted viewers? Do you think these aliens got lost on the way to Area 51 to meet their friends and crash landed in somebody's backyard? Or was it just a meteor? Or did the aliens come from the meteor and the meteor itself was the UFO? Truly, who is to say? Who is to know? Hopefully we find out soon enough, and when we do, you better believe that I'll be the first to tell you. And if you're looking for way more videos about all things UFO and alien, oh my good gosh, do we have a lot of that on the channel for you to enjoy. Everything from conspiracies, cover-ups to UFO sightings, we've got it. If you're sick of hearing about little green men, we've got all sorts of things on crime, conspiracy, everything scary. It's on Top 5. So hit subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell as well, and don't miss a single thing. But you gotta do that at the end of this video for me, okay? Because I got 4 more UFO sightings coming up for you right now. Number 4, the Pentagon. We are at a truly exciting time to be an enthusiast of UFOs and aliens. It feels more so than any other point in human history that the discussion around aliens and UFOs is leaving the fringe sciences and starting to become accepted, commonplace by respectable employed people, not just folks wearing tinfoil. Recently, the Pentagon released a video of a reported UFO zipping around near an Air Force drone and revealed footage to, quote the Pentagon, everyone thought was truly anomalous, which is government speak for we don't know what the fuck this is. At the time, the object appeared to be moving with something propelling it forward, but a later determination would show that it didn't, which baffled and puzzled the analysts, as usually something propels you forward in the air. Now this hearing was very interesting for a few reasons, but foremost it allowed us a little bit of insight into how government agencies go about treating UFO sightings. We learned they categorize them first by what they most likely are, starting with the obvious things like planes or balloons, which account for like 99% of all UFO sightings. And then when it's something they truly cannot immediately identify, they prioritize where was it found? How is the object maneuvering? Does it seem like it's being driven? Control. Does it seem as if it has a payload? Does it have something attached to it? The hearing started by saying that the Pentagon currently doesn't believe that they have any definitive proof of extraterrestrial life on Earth, but concluded by saying that we'll be getting another disclosure document coming soon, possibly even as early as July. So we have huge, exciting things on the horizon coming up in July, and I'm not just talking about the Barbie movie. Number 3, Jorge Orga. Is it just me, or are things getting crazier? Maybe I'm watching more UFO footage as part of my job, but it seems like every day we see more UFO sightings, like they're doubling, tripling over what they used to be. Yeah, admittedly, everybody carries a camera in their back pocket now, but it does seem like more people are checking out the planet. Ever since that streak in February, I feel like it's been an arms race for the coolest UFO footage. While pilot Jorge Orga captures what some are describing as the best UFO footage ever, but I'll let you be the judge of that. He uploaded the video online, where it was found by an account called The Hood's Finest, where the clip went wildly viral on Instagram. Thank you, The Hood's Finest, one of the most trusted sources of journalism in these dark times. Let's take a look. It's definitely mysterious. That much I can say with complete confidence. It's really hard to tell what that was, but the way it speeds forward without any visible exhaust does make it seem highly suspicious. You can't make any details on that craft at all. Now, Orga claims this was the most frightening experience of his life, and it's really not hard to see why. A circular, spherical, strange object flew directly in front of his plane, then whizzed by his window. Whizzed, like, you know what I meant. I shouldn't have used that word. Orga and his co-pilot were flying towards Santa Fe when they first noticed the strange object coming towards them. The pilots believed that whatever they saw was non-human in nature, and definitely not a balloon or another aircraft. Orga claims that the aircraft was traveling at an incredible speed of 300 kilometers an hour. I don't know how many miles an hour that is for Americans. You guys are gonna have to calculate that on your own. With the temperature at the time of the flight falling close to 5 degrees Celsius. With all that being said, it seems less likely that it's a bird or a balloon, and possibly something far, far more mysterious. As always, I love to hear your guys' opinion on stuff like this, so feel free to debate away in the comments if you think you've got an idea or an angle on this that I'm not seeing. We need as many eyes on this as possible. Of course, you can also just, I don't know, tell me something nice about your day. Tell me something that made you smile today. I love hearing about that too. Number 2, Chad Underwood. I think by now, if you're subscribed to the channel, and I hope you are, you've heard a thing or two about the Tic Tac UFOs that the Navy released videos of. In a lot of ways, these videos were kind of one of the first big steps for this recent surge of UFO, UAP stuff being taken kind of seriously, with these baffling videos leaked by the Navy that no one could explain. Although they were taken years and years ago, back in the halcyon days of 2004, the pilot who took the video has rarely spoken out about his experiences at all, for the understandable fear that he'd be lumped in with, quote, the little green men crazies that are out there. Well, I'm one of them, Chad Underwood, and I'm ready to believe you. Oh, Chad Underwood, that's the guy who filmed it. I don't know if I said that before. The story of the Tic Tac UFO began on November 10th, 2004, when radio operator Kevin Day reported seeing something odd and slow flying around the San Diego coast. It was moving approximately 140 miles an hour at a height of nearly 30,000 feet, so definitely not like any bird that I've ever heard of, and probably unlikely to be balloons. Commander David Fravor of the Black Aces identified the 40-foot-long white oblong-esque object hovering and exhibiting no exhaust, propulsion, but seemingly darting itself forward at impossible velocities. It was Chad Underwood's footage that got shared and went viral. Via infrared camera pods mounted on the plane, we get sightings of these mysterious Tic Tacs in action. And I wish I had something different to tell you for the end of this point, something a bit more dramatic and exciting, but nearly a decade later, and we are still absolutely no closer to understanding just what happened here, what's happening in these videos, what these crafts are, but maybe we'll get there soon. Like I said, there's supposed to be a document coming up in July that's going to reveal all sorts of new research and information the Pentagon's been working on, and maybe that will be the big one, or maybe it'll just also be nothing like it usually turns out to be. But who knows? And number 1, California Army Base. We all wonder if military bases are hiding advanced technology, right? Like all of us do that, it's not just me. Like what kind of secrets could be buried underneath Area 51? Wouldn't you want to know? It definitely seems like visitors from other worlds are just a bit curious too, as there was a mass sighting of possible UFOs out in the California desert, right above a military base, one Camp Wilson. Was it a sign of visitors scouting out the area, or technology from within being reverse engineered by the American government? Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp are a pair of ufologists, and they revealed the footage on their podcast, saying that the video and photos were shot all the way back in April 2021, but didn't appear until now, where a series of mysterious lights manifested above the base for 9 minutes, prompting the Marines to launch a significant air and ground response. You know, just in case this turned out to be like an Independence Day kind of sitch. The Marines fired flares at the UFO, and the craft disappeared just before the flares could illuminate what they were. Classic, that's just like every single UFO story, you know, right before the good part. The hosts of the podcast go on to say that there was no media coverage whatsoever of the incident. I mean, I don't really remember anybody talking about this in April 2021, but I also don't remember April 2021, so I'm not a trusted source. But since then, nothing really has come out about it. They got the tip from someone at the base, from a person who was pretty high up, they quote. The tip was that there was more to this story that was being led on. Now, some viewers, some astute alien fans, have pointed out a noticeable similarity between this incident and the Phoenix Light event in 1997, where a series of strange lights hovered over the city of Phoenix, witnessed by multiple people in the city, but unknown to everyone and to this day, unsolved. So what happened here? Just one more mystery we'll never get an answer to? I'm not sure, but I'll never stop looking. The truth is out there, and I want to believe.
Locals in a small coastal town were baffled to see 9 pillars of light appearing in the night sky above the ocean. Photos of the bizarre event were shared online after dozens noticed the beams near Tottori Prefecture, Japan on May 11th of this year. User Mashi posted a photo of the beams cutting through a cloudy night sky on the app formerly known as Twitter above Daisen, a small fishing town. With 72.1 thousand views, the photo photo's gone viral. One user said, "Damn it, now I can't make a move for 3 turns." A second user wrote, "Don't let my grandma see this. She would say it's heaven." Another user saying, "There's something magical about light pillars, almost like a cosmic spotlight show. It's fascinating how nature mimics art. Next time you're out stargazing, keep an eye out for these ethereal beams. They might just steal the show from the stars." So when people contacted the person who posted all of this, they told the site, Hintpot, "When I looked up at the night sky in front of my house, I saw several streaks of light in the sky. Seems simple enough, but what were they?" The beams appeared in the direction of the Sea of Japan, and a lot of folks have speculated aliens are behind them, myself included. One resident of the area, named Marcy, moved to the town almost a decade ago and said she's only seen this happen like 3 or 4 times. But the fact that it's happened multiple times, she doesn't have answers? Suspicious. In one photo taken at a port in Dazen town, the bright lights were extremely clear against the dark clouds, and it looks like something straight from the movie Signs. And there was a lot of folks left in awe at the unusual display. We've got more comments from the internet. "It's mysterious and wonderful. I want to see it with my own eyes." And another person was like, "It's like an entrance to a mysterious world." And there's been dozens of different folks on social media who have hailed these images as amazing. But then you've got the folks who were creeped out by it, being like, "Wow, that's scary." Or, "What is this? Feels like you might be abducted by aliens." Even more, the sight of the light makes the area appear to be under attack, which is not a good thought. Another Twitter user shared a similar incident, saying, "Very interesting, as in late 1985, myself and some other travelers saw these strange vertical lights from the top of Mount Sinai, which we were sleeping on overnight. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't working, so they did a sketch, but it remains a mystery to this day as to the light source." Yeah, that's pretty wild. A group of friends were enjoying a fun New Year's Eve night in Fresno earlier this year when they suddenly spotted 7 strange lights traveling across the sky. The videos were taken around 11:45 p.m. near Cedar and McKinley Avenues, and in one of the videos you can see a woman turning away as she is being filmed, only to notice a pair of lights in the sky. So the camera pans over to the sky to show the 2 lights just as another pops into the view, trailing behind before they all seem to make a triangle formation. After about a minute, the person recording them notices 2 more bright lights traveling close together side by side. Then to their surprise, 2 more come into view and travel in the same direction. So we have a statement saying, "I was immediately under the impression I was seeing the Starlink satellites, which was mind-blowing to me, but after seeing them, I'm not so sure." So this is from Naomi, and she said they were all left stumped as they tried to make sense of what they were seeing, throwing out into the air any explanation they could think of. Possibilities ranged from Chinese lanterns, flares, airplanes, space debris, military, and of course, we land at UFOs. So the woman says the lights were way too bright and far out to be lanterns. And these folks live by an airport. They're like, "These were not airplanes, these were not drones, we've seen that." And by the end, they could not explain what they had witnessed. A Cambridgeshire family has been left scratching their heads after spotting weird lights in the sky and hearing disturbing sounds. Mother and daughter Lisa and Jasmine Hegarty from Cambridge filmed the flashing lights in October of last year and still have not been able to reach a logical answer as to what happened. So Jasmine said the lights hovering over Orchard Park seemed to look like a UFO. She described the sight as something really loud and round with flashing lights and shared footage with online outlets. Mom Lisa said her husband had previously mentioned seeing lights in the sky, but the family had kind of brushed it off. But then, on this fateful night, the walls of this house were vibrating, and she initially thought it was caused by a car running outside. But then when they looked out the window, no cars, no traffic, no reasonable explanation. So everybody went outside to investigate, and they saw that something that looked like a star at first. Then it had other things that were coming from where the white star was, and they were flying. Now, according to the mom, there was 3 of them. She said the noise she thought that might have been coming from the lights sounded like when a hovercraft takes off, and the lights change color, white to green to red, and sometimes it even looks like they had a halo. Lisa was adamant this wasn't a drone, and some of the neighbors had also seen or heard the weird phenomenon. So we got multiple witnesses going, I don't know. People across Southern California were captivated by a mysterious sight as several streaking objects lit up the sky back in early April. These bright streaks of light were spotted around 1:30 a.m. on April 4th to be exact. Users online reported seeing it across the region, from Orange County to LA, all over. According to over 85 reports, the event lasted between 30 to 60 seconds while heading in a northeasterly direction towards Las Vegas. A lot of folks took to social media to get answers, and we got a lot. Some speculated it was a possible meteor. maybe a comet. Others thought it could have been debris from a Falcon 9 rocket that took off from the Space Force base around 7:30 p.m. the night before. So we're gonna consult the Aerospace Corporation, which is an independent non-profit corporation that's federally funded. They do space research and they have information on their website about a Chinese spacecraft that was predicted to re-enter the planet's atmosphere near LA around this time, but that's a no. That wasn't it. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory has a whole breakdown of celestial events happening during that month. We're talking like easy to spot planets, an eclipse, a comet, but no answers to this mystery. According to experts, the series of mysterious light streaks in the night sky over California, well, they weren't meteors. They weren't Starlink satellites. Eyewitness News reached out to SpaceX, the Aerospace Corporation, NASA, everybody else, and they never heard back. Government cover-up? And finally for today, a dark mass with wispy tendrils shocked viewers in Sydney, Australia as it floated across the sky. TikTok videos showing the weird formation, posted on February 18th and 20th of last year, so 2023, have received over 14 million combined views, and folks are scrambling for answers. Like, that's obviously an obscurus, one comment said, referencing a dangerous force from the Harry Potter series. Doesn't that mean Voldemort is back or something like that? Another comment said. Okay, well, stupid Harry Potter references aside, nobody seems to know for sure what was in the sky. So, other folks commented saying like, okay, maybe it's part of the Blue Beam Project, which is a debunked conspiracy theory that says NASA and the United Nations are working together with the Antichrist, yeah, you heard me right, to simulate the second coming and unite the world under a single religion to establish a new world order. Best picture I've ever seen of something in the sky. Congrats. This was a comment online, and somebody else was like, that's a space loogie. So what is it? Well, among the outlandish possibilities scattered in the comment section of the internet, a lot of folks thought it might have been a scud cloud. If you don't know what that is, scud clouds are small, ragged, low cloud fragments that are unattached to a larger cloud base and often seen with and behind cold fronts and thunderstorm gust fronts. This is according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. If we're going to consult the experts, Martin Singh, a senior lecturer from the School of Earth, Atmosphere and Environment, told Yahoo News that, while a strange formation, he's like, I don't know if this is a scud cloud. He's like, yes, sometimes these clouds are formed when rain evaporates below a parent storm, which could moisten the air, lead to a secondary cloud formation, and sure, under these conditions, they're not part of an organized updraft, so they can take on a ragged appearance. But still, a lot of folks who looked at this were like, I don't know, man. Seems kind of weird to me. Somebody was like, I guess I just learned what a scud cloud was. And how does everybody else know what this is? Apparently scud clouds are common, but this one filmed was fairly extreme. So my theory is still on some sort of weird alien thing.
Number 5. Flying cigars. Okay, so the first piece of footage we're going to take a look at today is this amazing footage of a cylindrical UFO that's got even the skeptics and the experts scratching their heads watching. Now you come take a look and see if this makes you a true believer. You can see pretty clearly, unlike most UFO footage, there is something very strange in clear view. Now we see a lot of videos or stories about cylindrical UFOs, but we don't often get to see them so up close, so stabilized, so enhanced until this beautiful little clip. Now there's a couple things going on here that make this clip a little shinier than the average clip. For one, we can see the objects going behind the clouds, some low visibility there. The object shimmers with a metallic surface. It looks seamless, as if it's one solid capsule or a big giant pill. But most interestingly to me, it doesn't show any sign of propulsion. No trail of smoke, no exhaust, no big old rocket on the back. So what is driving it forward? The object is seen making multiple sharp turns at very, very high speeds, instant acceleration. So whatever is making it move is tremendously powerful. Perhaps there's some sort of fantastic anti-gravity technology that's keeping it up in the air. Now the original uploader said that this object, despite its incredible speed, made no sonic boom, when it definitely should have been. Viewers who are significantly better with numbers than me suggest that the object is going around 1,800 kilometers per hour. So what do you think, my dear sweet viewers? Is this some of the most compelling footage of a UFO in a while, or is this big strange pill craft just a big pill to swallow? You let me know down below. And if you're looking for way more alien content, well, you already know the Top 5 Scary has some of that and then some. We have got boxes and boxes full of alien videos for you to peruse and enjoy. But if alien videos aren't your jam, we've got a video on just about everything scary under the sun and above it. So click on through, make sure you hit subscribe, please hit that little bell, but do that at the end of this video, okay? Because I got 4 more alien sightings coming for you right Now, number 4, the mysterious triangle. Now, it wouldn't be a proper list of mysterious UFO sightings without a classic sighting of a triangular black UFO. If you're a regular enthusiast of UFO content, you probably recognize that black triangle UFOs are one of the most repeated sightings, right after those cylindrical cigar-shaped Tic Tac UFOs we just covered. Now, this next clip you're about to see was sourced from TikTok by the account TR3B Black Manta YT and was stabilized and enhanced by other members of the UFO community to highlight the clip, and we're glad they did because this is about to blow your mind. Take a look. Now, a very popular conspiracy theory in the sort of UFO stratosphere is that the existence of these black triangular crafts are traced back to a purported top secret aircraft developed by the US military, codenamed as the TR-3 Black Manta, hence the name of the TikTok account we sourced this from. Now, the alleged Black Manta is a classified stealth reconnaissance plane capable of vertical takeoff and landing, as well as extraordinary maneuverability. It's believed that it's got supremely advanced propulsion systems and radar evading technologies, allowing it to operate undetected. Now, believers in this theory state that sightings of black triangular UFOs are sightings of this classified aircraft, and that the government uses UFO conspiracies as a way to divert attention away from their covert operations. Now, not to get too tinfoily, but that sounds incredibly likely. There are some who believe as well that the TR-3 could be proof of a UFO, implying that the craft was reverse engineered from downed or otherwise recovered alien technology. Obviously, the government isn't going to outright confirm or deny anything vis-a-vis aliens, especially any top secret black ops level secrets, so officially the government has denied any involvement about a possible TR-3 Black Manta project. So what do you think, my viewers? Are these sightings of black triangle UFOs sightings of advanced military technology from this world or from someone else's? Number 3, the lights over Vegas. Coming up next today on this list is going to be this strange footage out of Las Vegas. Sometimes what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas and blows up the internet, like this series of mysterious bright lights that hovered above the city for hours, being seen by countless people, and yet no one seems to be able to figure out what it was. Now, often the bright glow of something like this could be traced to flares or aviation training. That was the hypothesis put forward by the local news station that aired this clip, suggesting it could be activity from Nellis Air Force Base, Grush Air Force Base, or Harry Reid International. When someone from the station reached out to Nellis, a spokesperson told the station that no training was conducted over the valley the previous night, and a similar statement was made by Harry Reid International. But come on, I don't need you to be a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist to tell you that the government is not going to own up to that. Even if you caught them with a big, clear, crisp photo of an alien craft, they'd still say they had nothing to do with that. It doesn't seem overly likely that if the government was conducting clandestine ops, they'd be so forthright in telling people about them anyway, so still an option, I'd say. Moving forward, the person who filmed these mysterious lights said that he's a local to the Strip, and that he said that these lights looked unlike anything he had ever seen before up in the sky there. Much bigger and brighter than any tourist helicopters or the usual glitz and lights and attractions from the Vegas skyline. The lights apparently burned really brightly for about 5 minutes or so, and then vanished again as they appeared. Now, the areas around Las Vegas are ripe for conspiracy, what with Area 51 being pretty close by. Could it be possible that these lights we saw were in fact high-tech military technology? Could they be reverse-engineered alien technology? Or could it just be a bunch of geese that all had Christmas lights wrapped around them? We may honestly never know. Number 2, the flying saucer over Phoenix. Coming up next today in our collection of UFO footage collected by average Joes on the ground is this sighting from Phoenix, Arizona of what looks to be a pretty clear-cut flying saucer flying sideways through the sky. Now, we've seen a cylinder, we've seen a triangle, and we've seen a series of strange floating lights, so I think it's high time that we round out the collection of UFO footage by adding in a flying saucer, the most classic of all UFO sightings. You close your eyes, you imagine a UFO, you probably imagine a little flying saucer, a little glass bubble, a little green guy in there. In this clip, we can see some vaguely disc, saucer-like effigy hurtling through the sky at a rapid speed. Now, unfortunately, this clip is a bit older and came at a time before 4K cameras were the norm, and so we can downright count the pixels on the screen. It's like a vintage throwback throwback. It's hard to make out exactly what's happening in the clip, and the details of it are a bit muddled. It would be great to be able to see the craft in more detail and make out some of the individual elements of it just to prove or disprove anything. More than a few commenters when this clip was posted suggested that it could just be a balloon, which would definitely be a bit of a bubble burster. I feel like a balloon is the answer to 99.9% of all UFO sightings. It's just a strange balloon that got loose. Now I can see some elements of that in some shots. The craft looks like it's reacting to the wind more than it does being blown around rather than soaring through the sky. As well, there's no visible exhaust or method of propulsion shown, but it could be possible that whatever entity was piloting that craft has technology above and beyond what we could ever dream of and has no need for propulsion. So what do you think? Proof of an alien civilization scouting out the planet caught on camera by someone looking up at just the right time? Or is this just a balloon that needs some hot air let out of it? And number 1, the balls of fire in La Plata. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot today in this list of amateur alien auteur films is this strange footage captured recently in La Plata, Argentina. 2 fireballs were seen hovering in the sky, which is that's pretty odd, all things considered. They appeared seemingly out of thin air in the night sky and remained hovering in place for 5 minutes or more. It's strange that 5 minutes seems to be the key amount of time that fireballs hang up in the sky. At the time of the sighting of the fireballs, there were no storms, it's a clear night, and these fiery red flares light up the night sky like they're gigantic evil eyes staring down at us. Very imposing. We could see tons and tons of people coming out to take photos and gawk and try to figure out what was happening, so this isn't a one-off camera glitch or someone getting crafty with CGI. We've got loads of eyewitnesses accounting for this. Now, some skeptics have suggested that this could be rocket vapor or something left over from a Starlink operation. Now, maybe it's because I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm just a YouTube host, sort of, but I'm not convinced. Many reports flooded in around this one particular incident, with residents all describing them as shining fireballs in the night sky. Well, local government tried to come forward with an explanation, believing that it came from a petrochemical plant, with the leading explanation being that the flames were from 2 catalytic units in the plant, causing a flare for a short period of time. Now, despite that being the official story, there are of course still some skeptics who think that's just a convenient cover-up to prevent local residents from getting their hands too close to the actual truth, with some locals claiming they've seen lights from the plant before and they're never that bright or that high up in the night sky. So, like all the other ones, I will leave it up to you. These mysterious balls of flame, something about aliens or something not about aliens? It really could be either one of those options or nothing. Anyway, something to consider. Number 5, the USS Omaha. Coming up first today on our list of unexplained UFO sightings on camera is going to be this wild footage taken off the coast of San Diego from on board the Navy ship USS Omaha. The video footage was shot on an FLIR camera, which is an incredibly expensive, fancy bit of tech. It's a thermal camera to detect heat. It's perfect for this sort of thing, and if you want one for yourself, civilians can buy these cameras. They cost $300,000. That's about 1 month's rent in Toronto. Very fair. In the footage, we can see what looks to be a sphere-like object flying over the ship before entering the water. The Omaha claimed that for days before this incident was recorded, they were seeing drone-like objects flying around their ship that the crew had no knowledge of. This footage was taken from a crew member trying to ascertain what it was that they were dealing with. Now, there is some audio on the clip, and it's illuminating. When the object goes into the water, we hear the sailors say mark, bearing, and range, meaning that the sailors on the ship were making a note of the coordinates and location where it went in, suggesting that maybe a submarine was sent in to recover or discover whatever was going on in there. Did it even submerge in the water, or does it seem a bit too like the craft outright disappears going into the water? I wish so bad we could get some more angles on this, or a follow-up to be able to find out what this was. Until then, we just have this strange footage to go off of and what speculation we have at home. There's a wild conspiracy theory that I just found out recently and I love, and we'll mention it a few times in this video, about a secret UFO construction facility under the water. Maybe this drone was heading on home. Who knows? And if you're looking for way more conspiracy theories about really anything, aliens, Bigfoot, JFK, you name it, we got all of that and then some on Top 5 Scary. We really have a video on just about anything and everything you can think of that's freaky and eeky. So hit subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell so you don't miss a scream, but if you wouldn't mind, do that at the end of this video, because I got 4 more stories of UFO sightings coming up for you right now. Whew, number 4. Our next clip comes to us from the UFO subreddit, and it was posted by user The Firo, saying, "This video was taken by a good friend of mine on a flight to El Paso, and as soon as it gets noticed, it's gone." In the video, we can see we're in the passenger seat of a jet, high above the ground. And flying around the windows is an unexplained object zipping around at high speeds. Saucer-like object, looking a bit like maybe it was a frisbee that got tossed into the air by Godzilla. Now, it does definitely look like a classic flying saucer, like what you imagine a UFO to be, but not as many people were convinced. More than a few people in the comments section for this one were a little skeptical of this high-flying footage. Several commenters suggested that this flying saucer is actually little more than a reflection of something from inside the plane's cabin, suggesting that if you pause enough and look right in the video, you can see the object's reflection being repeated in the window pane. Now, there are just as many people suggesting that it is a solid object existing outside the plane. The trouble is, we've been given very limited footage and it's hard to tell, and there was no follow-up by the original poster to provide any more details, so we only have this little excerpt that we've been given. Whenever there's a scenario like this, I do like to leave it up to you, my faithful YouTube comment audience. What do you think? Is this a flying saucer soaring above the clouds or just a reflection of some light? I could honestly go either way with this one. I will say it could easily be explainable as a reflection, but I also feel like the object has a certain weight to it. I don't know, I'm directly in the middle for this one. I'm a centrist on this video. It should have been the number 3 point, but it wasn't. Anyway, jury's out. Please let me know what you think of this. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, New Delhi. Coming up next is going to be this clip shared online with the caption, "A weird set of lights above New Delhi." Take a look-see. So in the clip, pretty clearly we can see, yeah, there's some strange lights going on in the night sky above New Delhi. There's a scattering of lights above the city's horizon. Now, immediately your first thought might be that it's drones, which is a reasonable assumption when it comes to UFO stuff. I feel like several videos that come out of little glowing lights dashing across the night sky usually end up being civilian drones. However, the original poster clarified that drones are illegal in India and aren't widespread at all for civilians. And on top of that, the area that's being filmed is said to be in the slums, where it's incredibly unlikely that anyone would have access to drones. The poster added this little bit of context with the video. I saw this today around 8 p.m. in New Delhi with a friend. It was massive. This cannot be a building, as there is no tall building in that direction, only slums with heights of about 4 to 5 floors, yet this building looked as tall as the Burj Khalifa. There was a moderate wind going on, and I thought, if it's drones, why aren't they swaying? Not to forget, drones are illegal in India and especially in New Delhi. It looked massive in the sky. I wish the camera saw what my eyes could see. It could absolutely blow me away. I've been to drone shows, but this looked nothing like it. Any idea what this could be? Also, I agree. I wish our cameras did just capture exactly what our eyes saw. It would make all this UFO stuff so much easier, and also I would finally get a nice picture of the moon to have on my phone. Now, some people in the comment section on this clip suggested that maybe it was a laser light show, but that's just speculation and nothing concrete. Well, one particularly good suggestion from a commenter that did make me laugh said that the original poster should have ran towards the lights to see what happens and investigate up close and personal, you know? Worst case, yeah, you get abducted, never see your friends, family, or home planet again, but you also would get the ride of a lifetime, and if you do survive to come back home, you get an amazing story to tell people. So live a little. Number 2, Garden Ridge. Our next offering for your entertainment, and I hope your amusement, is this short clip that was uploaded to YouTube pretty recently. UFO spotted over Garden Ridge, Texas. In this clip, we can see a somewhat strange flying object that looks a bit like a cocoon being propelled forward, or maybe even a beehive or something. The entity has no propulsion or trails behind it, which really doesn't explain how it's moving forward so fast. Some sort of anti-gravity manipulation technology that I don't understand. Is that too wild to speculate that an alien has that? Now, we've seen cocoon-like UFOs a few times doing these videos, actually. We saw them a bunch. I don't know if you remember, one of them turned out to be Mr. Peanut, but most of them are UFOs. I'd say after triangle UFOs or little light clusters, I probably see videos of little cocoon-like UFOs like this more than any other kind. So what are these cocoon-like UFOs that keep appearing, and why do they all look so similar? This lack of propulsion too is really puzzling me. Now, the original poster returned after the fact to add a little bit of clarity in the comments. He said the object was moving with the wind, not against it, so maybe it's possible it's something like a weather balloon that has been swept up in an air current. That's usually what most of these clips turn out to be. I would love to see a statistic on how many UFO sightings are actually weather balloons, because I suspect it's probably like 99%. Another commenter suggested that this could be an object heading towards Randolph Air Force Base, speculating that the UAP seen in this video could be a manned jetpack or a very tiny stealth craft of some kind, which would be pretty cool, or even some sort of new drone technology the US military is developing. Now, among other things though, the original uploader did admit and suggest that this really could just be a balloon, suggested that he thought it might be attached to a floral arrangement that somebody let go of. Hey, maybe an alien was picking up a last-minute Valentine's Day gift, or hey, maybe an alien had to apologize to someone, you know? Maybe a probing went wrong and a little flowers was the only thing that could smooth it over. I wonder if they'll keep that in the video. Number 1, the A-10 over Arizona. And coming up at our final spot today for crazy UFO footage is going to be this dramatic footage of a spherical UAP being filmed tailing an A-10 aircraft over Arizona. The footage was filmed by a mobile scope truck recorded by the DHS, that's the Department of Homeland Security. The craft caught on camera is one of unknown origins, well, obviously. So why it's a UFO. The U doesn't stand for usual, it's unidentified. Now there's really not a lot to go on from this clip, as the original uploader didn't provide a ton of insight or backstory beyond the short clip, so we're left with mostly speculation. Similar to the previous clip, I have to wonder maybe if this is a drone of some kind due to its size in comparison to the rest of the craft, which dwarfs it. Could this be an unmanned craft? Is someone piloting it from a remote location far away? Now earlier in the video, I quickly shouted out a conspiracy which I recently discovered, and I hope we can do like a full video on it because it was fascinating, saying that a majority of the crafts that we see in UFO videos are scout crafts that come from a construction facility hidden somewhere deep beneath the ocean from a civilization that predates ours. This advanced technological facility is manned by an artificial intelligence that keeps it running autonomously and produces these small crafts naturally to scout out the planet and, well, I don't know yet what they're doing, but something alien. Now obviously that is a very tinfoil hat theory. I got it from a less than reputable website, but it is a ton of fun to speculate on and would certainly make sense why there are so many sightings of these similar objects if they were all literally coming from the same factory line. And also, wouldn't that just be the nicest, I don't know, funniest little ironic cap to aliens if we're spending all our time looking up, but they've been below us the whole time? Anyway, something to think about. Number 5, David Grush. So, if you've been following the topic of UFO disclosure closely, and the odds are good that you are because you're watching this video, you probably know the name David Grush fairly well. Grush is a former intelligence officer with years of dedicated service and involvement in UFO research who's been blowing headlines open with some of his shocking revelations, which, if they're true, would change the fabric of our world. It would change everything as we know it. We'd look at these days right now as the golden days, I think. I lost my train of thought there. Whoops. We'd look at these days as like the days before Pandora's box opened. We're never gonna be able to close that seal again. Grush served on the UAP portfolio for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency as well as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which is a bureau for investigating alien sightings. So Grush has the credibility. But what is he alleging? In a recent interview with News Nation, Grush drops the bomb, saying that non-human intelligence has visited Earth and it's recognized and known by major governments, claiming that in 1933 a craft was recovered by Mussolini's forces in Italy and then intercepted by the US in 1944, meaning that the Vatican helped suppress the knowledge of this and the Vatican is aware of non-human intelligence out there. In this same interview, and if you're interested in this stuff, you really should just watch it instead of watching me talk about it, Grush alleges that the US has recovered quite a number of alien crafts over the years, with at least 12 or more sitting in US reserves right now being studied, reverse engineered. Occupied bodies have been recovered as well. Now, fascinatingly, Grush says he wouldn't exclusively call these entities alien, saying they can be extraterrestrial or interdimensional creatures. He doesn't provide too much of a description on what they could look like, and obviously there's no photos, sadly, just that they're out there. He goes on to state that the infamous Roswell incident in New Mexico was absolutely real, and that everything since then has all been a concentrated, prolonged disinformation campaign to get people away from the subject, even going so far as to say the US participates in widespread mass disinformation, leaking true details alongside falsified reports to keep UFO discussion a fringe subject, preventing it from being taken seriously. And hey, if that's the case, US Army, if you want to throw me a couple bucks to spread some rumors and disinformation, my DMs are open. The full disclosure interview is absolutely fascinating stuff, and I highly recommend you go seek it out after this video. But, you know, before you do that, you could always spend a little bit more time on Top 5 Scary, since we've got lots and lots of alien and UFO videos for you to peruse and enjoy. And if that's not your thing, we've got something scary for everybody. Ghosts, goblins, ghouls, Frankensteins, true crimes, you name it. So hit subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell to not miss anything, but do that at the end of this video, okay? I got way more revelations and truths to blow open. Number 4, an Air Force engineer. Now, Grush's forwardness is inspiring others to come forward with their own full disclosure. I mean, if they won't, we have to, right? An anonymous source claiming to be an aerospace engineer added an addendum to Grush's interview on Reddit, claiming that they could corroborate some of his points. Take a listen, and obviously take a huge grain of salt as you're listening to all of this, as it is just someone typing on a computer, but I thought it was fairly interesting. As a current aero engineer for the US Air Force, 26 years and going, I can help you decode at least some of this interview. First, I know that Grush has only limited ability to talk about the subject. He did get clearance to speak to a certain extent, but he must withhold quite a bit in order to avoid very serious law violation. So, expect him to be holding back some things he could say, and this also necessitates rephrasing on-the-fly language he would normally use. Second, the retrieval program he talks about is real and is the most highly classified program in the US. The program is called Zodiac, and this may or may not come out to the public soon. Take this in when viewing the man's speech. He is trying to talk to us about the most highly classified project in the world. People have died, lost careers, lost family to the secret. So to say this is stressful to talk about would be an understatement. Should I be talking about this right now? Should I be talking about this? Am I gonna get the channel shut down? Third, when he shook his head talking about the spacecraft and alien, because we don't really think this is what they are. But this term is in common use publicly and is as close as we can describe the phenomena to general public and be understood. These things, these UAP, are much more than spacecraft. They are trans-medium interdimensional craft to the best of our knowledge. And the alien aspect, this is just the easiest term we have because we don't really know for sure what they are, but this term is close. At present, we consider most of these beings to be advanced biological AI. Ooh. Lastly, I can tell you from my own experience while on duty, these are real. I can tell you this because I was present on 2 occasions. I wasn't read into this program, so I can only tell you I was there on 2 occasions, happenstance, and they're as real as the nose on your face. Well, as you can see on my face, my nose is pretty real, pretty here, all natural, no work done on that thing. So that means this guy's story is real too, and a fascinating story it is. Number 3, Stephen Greer's disclosure. Dr. Stephen Greer is a renowned ufologist and a former physician intent on waking the public up and achieving that full disclosure. Possibly inspired by the surge of whistleblowing in recent months, he held a press conference with several key witnesses and testimonies that he believed would provide adequate disclosure and get the truth out there. Now, the whole thing is available online, and assuming we take all of these things as fact and it's not a very well organized grift, the secrets revealed within are life-changing. Greer claims that many different civilizations of extraterrestrials have all visited Earth, okay? Not just one species or one civilization, but lots. Now, he reports that as of now, no non-human entities have displayed an outward hostility towards humans, which is nice. That's one less thing to worry about. Don't have to worry about the Covenant coming in anytime soon. Like Grush, Greer claims that the US has had access to non-human craft, and they've been studying the tech for breakthroughs in weapons, in cloaking, propulsion, energy technology. Now, this is the really fascinating part, is a claim that one reverse engineered extraterrestrial technology is pre-programmed life forms, a sort of synthetic artificial life which are mistaken for aliens, described as biosynthetic AI, which sounds very similar to what the aerospace engineer was talking about in the last point. So maybe they share a Google Drive and they're getting ideas from each other, or maybe they're onto something. Another huge bombshell is allegations that within the US government, there's a shadowy clandestine group that was established in the 50s that operates free from the government's wishes, and they conceal alien tech and hoard it from the rest of the world to further their own goals. They're apparently very good at targeting and downing extraterrestrial vehicles and possess the tech and manpower to threaten security. Now, these are bold claims, but in this day and age, it's going pretty difficult to ascertain what's a bold claim and what's the truth actually leaking through the cracks. I mean, everybody's talking about biosynthetic AI aliens. Maybe biosynthetic AI aliens are out there. Number 2, Corporal John Weingant. Now, if y'all remember to the last part of this video, not the previous thing I just talked about, but the last 5 parts I talked about, part 1, we spoke of the testimony given by the Marine Michael Herrera, who claims that he saw paramilitary forces that seemed to be American loading weapons and munitions into an octagonal, non-human looking craft while he was deployed in Indonesia in 2009. Now, the story sounded outrageous, kind of like the plot of a video game, but also sounded extremely similar to an eyewitness account from another Marine years and years and years earlier in Peru. Now, you take a listen to the statement by Lance Corporal John Weingant. Lance Corporal Weingant had been a Marine since 1994, and in 1997 was deployed to Peru. Alerted to a possible friendly ship that had crashed at 3 a.m., he and a few other Marines drove out to the crash site in Humvees to investigate. After hours of searching through the brush, they found a gash in the land where it seemed as if something super hot had cut through the land, claiming that it looked as if a laser had gone through with surgical precision. And at the peak of the gash was this huge craft, non-human in nature, aerodynamic but organic, looking bumpy, notched, and alive, and dripping an unknown fluid. Most shockingly, he claims that inside the craft felt like he could experience something communicating with him telepathically, saying that they meant no harm and were peaceful in nature and needed assistance. Now, he claims shortly after this, helicopters and men in black military uniforms took him away and threatened him into silence, threatening his family and his livelihood if he didn't comply. Now, he sat on this story for years, only speaking out about it years after. It sounds very similar to the story presented by Herrera. Now, do you think this is fact or fiction? The video interview seems very genuine, and the story seems complicated and very detailed for a hoax. Hopefully we know the truth on this, or hey, maybe it's better not knowing. And number 1, footage from the Hudson River. And coming in at the number 1 spot today is going to be some shocking footage captured on an infrared security camera on the Hudson River on a marina. We've talked a lot about shadowy governments, secret retrieved alien crafts, decades spanning conspiracies, psyops, cover-ups, secret organizations, and I just thought we could all need a breather, you know? Something light, end the video something fluffy and fun, and it's about time I included one clip of a grainy, strange object darting across the sky that we can all argue about or speculate on wildly. It's the most fun part of UFO stuff. The clip is short and sweet, and you get everything you need. We see a pretty clear view of a marina, and then bam, right in front of your eyes, seems like somebody hit the FTL drive, is taken off to a new galaxy, right? 12 parsecs away. Like, what else could that be? Now, I always try to play fair with the skepticism. Some commenters aren't convinced that this is proof of mass relay-based travel in starships, with some saying that it's as simple as a security camera bugging out, and if you'll pardon the pun, catching a bug flying close by at a particularly high speed. Leaves a trail because of the longer shutter speed being used by the camera at night. The object appears so brightly because it's illuminated by the infrared LEDs in the camera, which are designed to illuminate objects close to the camera at night, which all sounds very reasonable, but at the same time, now I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been talking about aliens. Maybe it's because I watched the video slow down a few times, but it really seems like it's something just blasting off, you know? Blasting off like Team Rocket. The object appears out of nowhere for a few frames, shoots off into the dark, and then vanishes. It doesn't seem like a bug is what I'm trying to get across. But maybe that's just because I want to believe. You know, we're getting closer and closer to it every day. It's only a matter of time now before you log on to YouTube and you see Top 5 Scary uploading top 5 coolest aliens I've talked to personally, and the thumbnail is going to be me shaking hands with one. Look forward in the next couple weeks.